And so I think it helps our kids kind of develop those skills. But I also think it's so good for bonding, like memories and just really like social interactions, like seeing family members that maybe that you don't see regularly. So I think it's just so important to experience those things with your baby, not only for their benefit, but for yours as well.
Welcome to Tiny Travelers, the family vacation podcast where we make traveling with kids easier, smarter, and more fun. I'm Sarah, a travel-loving mom who knows the joys and chaos of exploring with little ones. Each week, we dive into parent-tested strategies, travel hacks, and honest advice on what really works with kids and what doesn't. So buckle up, grab your travel planner, and let's make your next family adventure unforgettable. Pack light, travel happy. Welcome back to Tiny Travelers. If you've ever packed every possible baby item just in case and still felt totally unprepared once you arrived at your destination, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about something so many moms in the baby stage deal with every time they travel. It's not that we need more things, it's that we need better support. Whether it's feeling confident about your baby's development while you're away from home, or just wanting help when the routine falls apart, real support can make your trip feel easier and lighter in every way. My guest today is someone who really understands what families need during those early years. Brooke is the creator of Infant Insights, a licensed occupational therapist, and a mom of two. She helps parents move from information overload to practical tools that actually work, especially when you're traveling with little ones. Brooke, welcome.
Hello, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. We have been trying to get together for, a couple weeks now, but we're here together now. So let's chat.
So excited to chat.
I'm so excited too. But I always start every episode with your go-to travel snack.
Okay, go-to travel snack. Honestly, I feel like it's probably Cheez-Its or a Coca-Cola in a can.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I'm a Coke Zero girly through and through. I actually have one on my desk right now because Coke Zero is like life to me. But yes. Have you tried the extra cheesy Cheez-Its?
Okay, see, I'm just like a regular Cheez-It kind of girl. I feel like there's something about travel though that says eat all the junk food, so I just do that.
No, mine is the Nerds gummy clusters.
So good.
Cannot get enough. I walk into the airport and my brain's like, get the Nerds gummy clusters. You have to have them right now. I'm like, okay, brain, whatever you say.
Yes, and I love like a tart, tangy candy. Like that's definitely my go-to.
Yes, and you have to have something to keep going through that long travel day, even if it's not that long. Traveling is hard.
Oh, just sitting for that long sometimes is hard.
Tell me about it. What about a pre-travel ritual? Do you do something every time you travel?
Okay, I cannot leave the house unless it is clean. So
Me too. Oh my gosh.
So pre-travel activity is cleaning the house. So when I come home, I can just feel like, oh my gosh, yay, it's all clean.
Yes. And you know what? When I was younger, I never used to do that. I was kind of just like spontaneous, like, let's leave the house. Bye. We'll just deal with it when we come home. But now that I have kids, I'm like, you can't just deal with it when you come home. You have to deal with other stuff when you come home.
Yes, especially all the stuff that's required to travel with kids. Like that is cleaning in itself. And so we need minimal work when we return home.
Oh, yes. I just want to sit down on my couch when I get home.
Same. Even though I just came back from a vacation.
Where did you go?
No, I'm just saying, you come back from relaxing and then you want to keep relaxing. But we did. I just turned 30 recently and we took a little trip to Charleston. We're in the South, if you can't tell. So we took a trip to Charleston, South Carolina. So very exciting.
How was it? Was it so fun?
It was so fun. And it's May. So the weather was really nice because it gets pretty hot in the South, Florida, Georgia. So we're in that like happy area where it's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's like the perfect temp for just a few weeks, really.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun. That's on my bucket list. I really do want to go to Charleston. Um, okay, so let's get down to business. You're an occupational therapist. And for parents listening or regular people listening or like me listening, what does a licensed occupational therapist do?
Okay, so we literally can do so many things
Of course
because,
you can.
and I mean, we can work in so many different areas of the lifespan. But really, if you think about OT, kind of like elevator pitch is helping people do what they want and what they need to do. So, like a parent, they have things that they want and need to do. A baby has things that they want and need to do. So, that's kind of what we do.
Okay, so you help people do what they want and need to do.
Yeah, like
What could
whatever
that
their goals
look like?
are.
Like,
Yeah.
what's an example of something
Okay.
that a baby might want to need to do?
So, like a baby needs sleep, right? So, we could work
Mhm.
with sleep, thinking about how to support sleep. A parent needs the baby to sleep, right? So, we
Heck
can help
yeah.
support, yeah. So, we can help support the parent in that way too. The baby needs to eat, right? So, lactation support, the helping the mom be confident in the feeding, starting solids. Like babies need to do all of these things, right? They need to move, they need to be mobile, they need to interact with their environment. So, very broad scope,
Mhm.
but a lot of important things that we can address, especially in the infancy stage.
Wow. Do you specialize in something or
Yes. So, me as a consultant, so I'm an occupational therapist, but really inside of our business, we kind of just have like this consulting service umbrella. So, I specialize in flat head consulting. So, like keeping babies out of helmets is kind of our goal.
Mhm.
Milestones, so any kind of motor milestones a baby may need to achieve is kind of something that I focus on as a professional myself. And then I help parents with starting solids as well. So, like feeding and things like that. Yeah.
Oh,
But we have
very
other
cool.
consultants that also specialize in like lactation and sleep and all those things.
Wow. How did you get into that?
As a first time mom, literally. So I was an OT. I've been an OT for about 5 years, and I worked with kids before I had kids of my own. But when my firstborn had flat head, I mean, it was just kind of something that I really was not expecting because it's not really talked about that much.
Mhm.
And so then I kind of started my business. And then I was like, okay, a lot of parents are needing a lot of other support kind of outside of the healthcare system. And so, how can we kind of bridge some of those gaps? And so, that's why now Infant Insights has other consultants on our team. So, we can just support parents across multiple areas.
I love that. Yeah, because being a new mom with a new baby that's brand new on the earth is so scary. My first baby had torticollis, and it's just like you just don't know what to do. And you're like, oh no, I've already broken the baby and he just got here. Like, what do I do? But I mean, honestly, it's not that big of a deal, but they get over it. But you need a specialist, you need somebody to talk to. And sometimes it's nice to just be like, okay, what do I do? How do I, you know, fix even some simple things?
Yeah. And really, too, like I'll tell you, Sarah, I'd say all the time, Infant Insights helps your baby, but honestly, we help the parent more because it's just
Mhm.
giving you the confidence to say you're doing the right thing,
Right.
And anyways, I could go on forever about that, but we offer free calls, so
Oh,
it's like a
cool.
very low entry point for parents. They can just get support and get actual human interaction about the topic they're interested in.
Love that. I mean, I started doing baby quip when I had a new baby because I was like, genius. I mean, who doesn't need baby stuff when they're traveling? I'm going to do that too. I mean, the world of possibilities that opens up when you have children.
Your own
And
kids,
then there's
exactly.
some possibilities that just close, but we don't need to talk about this. So you did it a little bit before you had kids, or you worked with kids before you had babies. How has becoming a mom shaped the way you work with families and work with families in development?
Yeah, oh my goodness. I feel like it's changed like everything for me because I mean, when I work with a baby, when I work with a mom, like I've been where they are. Like I've felt worried, I've felt stressed. I've felt, like I'm drinking out of a fire hose with the information coming my way. And so I think it just helps me kind of empathize almost to the point where my husband's like, okay, Brooke, like you're not in this situation anymore. But I'm like,
That's
I just
not your
want,
baby.
I know, but I just want moms and parents to just find that peace and that confidence that I didn't have a lot of times. So I think it just really helps me in my job. It just motivates me to keep going too, because I'm like, no, parents need this support. Like this support doesn't exist and they need it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so nice. I love that. It's probably so nice to just get to meet with you and be like, oh, I feel so much better.
That's like mainly what people say is, okay, I'm so much more confident. I'm like, I got you, girl. I can help you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to just set up an appointment with you. I already have my
Okay,
babies out
that
of the
sounds
way, but I
good.
just want to feel more confident, Brooke. Okay. So this is a travel dedicated podcast. So let's talk some travel and development because people travel with their babies. Um, Travel can throw off routines, obviously, for adults and kids. Um, it does create new sensory experiences and bonding opportunities and all, it opens up so many different things. How can travel actually support a baby's development instead of maybe disrupting it like maybe some people think?
Yeah. So I think taking your baby along and traveling with your kids is so important. I think that it's good for babies to learn and kids to learn like flexibility, and things, because we all have to be flexible humans. Like we don't just go through life predicting and knowing exactly what comes next. And so I think it helps our kids kind of develop those skills. But I also think it's so good for bonding, like memories and just really like social interactions, like seeing family members that maybe that you don't see regularly. So I think it's just so important to experience those things with your baby, not only for their benefit, but for yours as well.
I think that what you just said is so important too, because yes, you do have to create routines for your baby, right? Because that's what they thrive on, but also creating a child that goes on to be an adult that's adaptable, that can go with the flow, that deals with changes in an age appropriate way. Things happen throughout life and you kind of just have to roll with the punches sometimes. So traveling in a fun way can help create those roll with the punches moments, but in a nice way instead of a
Yes.
chaotic way.
And there's things you can do, of course, and I know we're going to get into that, but there's things you can do to support to make sure you have what you need when baby does become upset, or to establish routines that kind of set them up for success in travel. So there's definitely things you can do, but I think it's really good for all of us to be flexible, even though it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes.
It is hard sometimes, especially with new babies. But I think a lot of parents think that if they travel or if they're going on long trips or something like that, their baby's, sleep routine or feeding or maybe even their development, their milestones might get completely derailed. What do you think about that?
Definitely not completely derailed, right? And there may be some kind of bumps in the road, like maybe your baby takes long naps in the morning, but you're traveling and they are just taking a short nap, but it's not going to derail the whole routine and their whole schedule forever, right? But I do think there is some really important kind of reminders, like if you are taking a car ride, maybe try to schedule it around a nap, or if the baby's been in the car for so long, maybe stop and allow them, out of the car to stretch their body, kind of have a little wake window activity. So then they're not just constantly sleeping during the day and then not sleeping at night, of course. I think also and we're going to maybe talk more about this, but your routines at home, you really want to try to mimic those when you travel, because that helps baby kind of regulate and feel like, okay, the sound machine is on. It's dark in the room. This is signaling to my body, it's time to rest.
Mhm.
So I think some types of little key reminders like that are helpful, but definitely not going to derail the whole schedule and totally mess up their routines. I promise you're going to get back on track.
Perfect. I love to say that, babies are adaptable. They're flexible. They're basically made of like rubber. So they go back and forth, they're like little jello. They jiggle, but they stay in the same shape, right? So there's probably not a lot that you could do on a vacation that's really going to, completely mess them up.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And so fun making memories,
Exactly. And then memories for the parents too, because, it's very important that you get to experience your baby as a baby also.
Yes.
What are some easy, developmentally supportive things that parents can do while they're traveling with their babies to help support their development?
Yeah. So, like I said, I kind of specialize in flat head. So when I'm thinking about travel, I'm thinking, okay, baby's in the car seat a lot, So I would definitely make sure if we are going to prevent flat head, which typically develops before 4 months old. So after 4 months, you're chill if your baby doesn't have flat head, which is nice. But before 4 months, I would really make sure that baby's not laying in that the same position maybe that they prefer the whole car ride, because that really can cause some flattening to develop. Maybe you turn them to the other side. Maybe you prop them up with like a little rolled towel or something in the car seat if you're on like a long travel day. So that's flathead. Also taking them out of the car seat, like if you stop for lunch and stuff, putting them in a baby wrap. I mean, I love like Duna strollers because they're so functional. But I think a lot of times we're seeing babies are in that stroller for long trips in the car and then at a restaurant and then in the grocery store and then when they go on a walk. And now baby has spent like 3/4 of the day on a travel day in the Duna,
Right.
So just being kind of mindful of that. But I think as far as like development goes, I mean, like you said, like the babies are smart, okay? And babies, like, they don't need a ton of like structured stimulation if they're like typically developing, So bringing along like a little picnic blanket and then having baby do like a little tummy time if you stop at a rest area, or you have your baby's eating solids. Maybe you bring the little take a long high chair and you feed them at the park, like if it's a nice day, in between stops. So just things like that are easy ways to kind of fit development in as you travel with your baby.
Yeah, those are great things to point out. All right, let's talk about packing and planning, because I think a lot of parents get nervous about, what do I need to bring? What don't I need to bring? What's really important? So when I was a new mom, I always felt like I had to bring everything just in case, because I never knew, like there weren't stores everywhere that we went, or you couldn't rent it at your destination. But what's your advice for figuring out like what's really essential and what is just adding to your load?
Yeah. Okay. So I would definitely say like sleep is a priority, like making sure that your baby is set up for independent or whatever sleep environment they typically sleep in. You really want to try to mimic that whenever you travel. So for me, like a slumber pod is like absolutely gotta have it, sound machine, 100%, monitor, pack and play, mattress, things like that. Okay. And then now that you prioritize sleep, now, of course, you're prioritizing basic needs. Baby needs to be fed, baby needs to be bathed, baby needs to be clothed, right? So, of course, we want to make sure we have that. Now, when you think about like feeding, you can think like, especially starting solids, maybe you're like, okay, I need a high chair. Like I need to make sure I bring my silicone bowls, my bibs, my spoons, that can really get like crazy, So I would say that you can bring whatever you want, but if you feel like you don't have room to pack everything that you typically use, you're not, like we said, you're not going to derail the baby if they don't use an easily grasped spoon for a week. Like it's okay. So maybe that might help some people be a little bit more relaxed. I tend to be a type C mom. I'm
Me
like,
too. I just learned about type C.
I'm literally like
unmedicated ADHD type A moms.
I literally am like, if there's a store, I'm like, I can buy it,
Totally.
if I need something. But I tend to pack a little bit lighter, but sleep, I've got to have the stuff for sleep. Because I mean, vacations with kids we call it parenting away, because you just parent where else,
We say it's a trip, not a vacation.
Exactly. Because you're tired and you want baby to sleep as well as possible.
Yeah. And I think also don't forget, guys, you can always rent a lot of these kind of like big mainstays in your life when you get to your travel destination from Baby Quip. They sponsor this podcast, so we have to say it. Just kidding, we don't. But I
Yes, I love
definitely.
Baby Quip. It makes our vacations at the beach so much easier.
Oh,
It's
I mean,
amazing.
what would you do without it? Like, how would you get all the stuff there?
I know. And too, I mean, which I'm not going to go off on a Baby Quip tangent, but
Well, we
honestly, like we ended
can.
up beach chairs, beach tents, like we rented everything. It
Mhm.
was a good setup. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you don't have to like figure out what you're going to do with it afterwards if you bought it. The quality provider just comes and picks it up from you. It's
Yes,
amazing.
it's
So
great.
parents, don't pack everything. Rent it when you get there. Only pack the like, the binky and then the lovey that smells like home and all the, really important stuff. You don't have to take everything. And what you were saying about like, oh, if they don't use like the easy to hold spoon for a week, it'll be fine. Sometimes like learning new textures and objects that they haven't maybe seen before, or like, anything is brand new. These can all create like new neural pathways in their brain and new connections and new things that they've learned. So even if they don't have that, silicone bowl, they're going to be okay. They just learned about, grandma's fine china. It'll be okay. You know?
Exactly. Just make sure they don't break it, right?
Yeah, unless grandma's real easygoing, and then
Hey, unless
it'll be
grandma's type C, okay?
exactly. I mean, I can't wait for my grandkids to come. Break all the things that you want. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, let's see. Can you walk us through a real moment from one of your trips where having a support plan or being prepared made all the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly we're headed to the beach in July, and last July we went to the beach. So we had a 2-year-old. He had just turned 2. Well, no, I guess we went to the beach in June. So he was almost 2. And then I had a baby in January of 2024. And so she was 5 months at the time. And we always do prioritize like our baby's independent sleep like pretty early, just because my husband and I both work full-time jobs, and it's just important for us to make sure that our babies, can be left with grandparents and things like that if they need
Mhm.
to. But we prioritized the sleep. We made sure we rented a lot of things from Baby Quip. We had our tiniest baby in like the closet, but it was a large closet. So she had
Mhm.
like her own little space that was blackout. And then our toddler was very accustomed to the pack and play. My little girl had not started solids, but I had all my breast pumps and all of that with me. And so, yeah, it was just a great trip because before we went on the trip, I knew what their routines were, what they were going to need when. Because I am I'm not going to say like I'm pro time schedule, like you got to have a schedule all the time, but
Mhm.
I am pro like an eat, awake, asleep type schedule because that just helps baby create these rhythms in their day. And so we just knew what to expect. And so it was pretty simple. We had the gear from Baby Quip, and then we had the routines in place just from at home. And it was a really nice vacation. And I mean, we just loved it. We're going to do it again this year. Now we have 2 toddlers though. So whew, buckle up, buckle up.
Good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you said that eat, sleep, play routine, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be eating at a table at your rental property. It doesn't mean that you have to be taking a nap in their crib or playing with these, developmental toys. It can mean that you're eating at the beach like a sandwich while you're, playing in the sand, and then you're taking a nap in your on the go stroller or in the carrier. And then you're playing, games in the car ride to grandma's or whatever. It doesn't have to look just like it looks at home, but it is still sticking to that kind of standard routine. It just looks a little different on your family trip, not vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so with my 5-month-old at the time, so she would eat, like breastfeed, and then she would be awake, like she would be kind of like playing in the sand, or we brought a little pop-up chair that she could sit in, like kind of on the beach, just hanging out, playing with everybody, like socializing. They love the baby. And then she would just sleep in my arms whenever she would want to go to sleep. all her cues, all the sleepy cues, I would say, yep, she's ready for her nap. It's telling me on the time too. So she would go to sleep and just sleep on me. The naps were shorter,
Mm-hmm. But babies want to wake up and have fun too. They know when everybody's having fun without them. So it's expected that they're going to wake up early. But we did that too. Every time we would go to the pool with the little babies, we would just, get a really shady, sunny spot, do a lot of sunscreen and, shade and all that kind of stuff. And then I would take a nap and they would take a nap. We would just be napping, while everybody else is kind of doing their thing. And then they wake up and then you're back right in the action. You don't even have to, stop what you're doing. So vacations with kids don't have to be, unfun for the parents. You can kind of integrate all of the routines and kid stuff right into your vacation days.
Yeah. And one more thing I'll say on that. So our toddler was taking one nap at the time, and they both take naps now, just one nap in the afternoon. So like cause all day in the sun with babies is just too much sometimes, so we would really try to prioritize like one good nap during the day, like in the afternoon. So we would go to the beach, probably take the morning nap in my arms. And then at the afternoon, we had like a pool at our house, which was nice. So we could kind of chill and take a nap ourselves while the kids napped. And we had that one consistent daytime nap there, so
right, where you're in a bed, you're air conditioned, you're comfy, you're out of the bathing suits or whatever. Yeah.
And everybody's different. So I think it's whatever that people feel comfortable with. I think that's really important for them to do,
Totally. And building that confidence as a parent, like you're not going to mess anybody up. You're not going to, have crazy kids just because you went on vacation. You're going to be fine.
Yes.
What's one thing you wish more parents knew about development during the baby and toddler years? Maybe, when life gets busy or kind of crazy, chaotic. What do you wish parents knew?
I feel like the one thing that I would just say is your baby kind of understands like your energy, and like, you just really want to make sure like you're relaxed, you feel confident, like, because really the baby is going to kind of understand that too and feel confident and feel nurtured and feel relaxed themselves, So like, I think that is just what I wish every parent knew. Like you said, like, you're not going to mess them up. You're literally like, you were ordained to be that baby's parent. And so just relax and maybe don't take in so much information at once, and just trust yourself, because your baby is going to turn out as best as they're going to be great,
Yeah. I love that. Your baby is your baby for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. And we're all different.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be so boring. I always say it would be so boring if we were all the same. Like, think about if we were all the same. That would be boring. So,
Exactly. We wouldn't have very much to talk about.
We'd be like, exactly, Sarah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
We'll have a podcast.
I know.
Okay. If our listeners walk away from this episode with just one thing to change how they travel with their baby, what do you hope it is?
Support the sleep. That's what I would say. Just from mom to mom. Just mom to mom.
Yep.
Just try to make sure your routines are in place as much as you can, based on your kind of perspective on sleep. If you're having trouble with sleep, we can definitely help you at Infant Insights. We have sleep consultants. I'm not one of them, but we have 3. And I feel like supporting your baby's sleep before you travel is going to just set you up for success when you travel,
Okay. Well, that's a good segue, because this has been so helpful and so insightful. And I think that parents are really going to get a lot of information out of this. But Brooke, where can parents find you and learn more about how to work with you and work with some other consultants in your business?
Yeah, so you can on infantinsights.com. We have tons of free resources for parents. So we have blogs, we have free courses, all the things. And then also our Instagram, Infant Insights. So pretty simple. Infant Insights. If you just Google it or search it, that's us.
Awesome. Brooke, thank you so much for sharing your insight and reminding us that feeling prepared isn't about packing more things. It's about knowing we're supported and trusting ourselves as parents. To all the moms and dads listening, if this episode helped you breathe a little easier about your next trip, send it to a friend who's in the thick of baby stage travel too. And because we know that traveling with little ones means juggling gear, routines, and a lot of unpredictability, we've got a special treat for our tiny travelers community. Instead of overpacking, rent what you need when you arrive, from premium strollers and cribs to sound machines and sleep support. Use code TINYTRAVELERS at checkout to save $20 off a $100 baby clip rental. Check the show notes for all the details and links to follow Brooke. Until next time, wishing you light bags, calm minds, and happy travels. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tiny Travelers. I hope today's episode gave you the inspiration and practical tips to make your next family adventure easier, stress-free, and more fun. If you loved today's episode, head over to the show notes for promo codes and exclusive resources to help you plan unforgettable trips with your little ones. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Happy travels, and I'll see you next time.